Hello, this is the front desk.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of the Crackin' Backs podcast with your hosts, Dr. Terry Wyman and Dr. Spencer Barron. How you doing this morning, guys?
I'm doing good, Lance.
Lance, how you doing, my man?
Doing great. So today we are joined by Kam Edwards. Kam is a pro basketball player for the Ontario Clippers, as well as being a content creator for 150,000 followers on many platforms. How you doing this morning, Kam?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here with you guys.
It's great to hear.
All right, Spence, go
Well,
ahead.
you know where I'm going with this. All right, here we go. I'll tell you what. Camerific. We are so happy to have you on the show. And before I even get started, listen, man, healing with a chiropractor or a doctor, it requires a connection. You got to feel good about your doctor. So how in the world did you and Dr. Terry remain so close and good friends during your time at Pepperdine?
Wow, that is a great question.
I
wish I had a clear-cut answer, but somehow, some way, during his time at Pepperdine or during my time at Pepperdine, we gelled and we clicked and were able to build a relationship, and that helped me in my process of recovering, thankfully. So it's pretty fun, man. It's a fun relationship we have. We always have a good time, and it's just a special relationship.
Oh, that's good, man. That's good. Obviously, he's wearing a shirt to, kind of make you feel good there. Mm-hmm.
We love to see it.
Oh, God, you're such a brown noser, Dr. Terry. Anyway, let me ask you. You have an interesting history, but what I really enjoy is what you're doing with your mind now. But before we get into all the comedic stuff, and it requires a lot of intelligence and quick thinking to be into what you're doing now. But you have had some concussion history that I would like to hear about a little bit more, and so would our listeners.
Yes, so unfortunately I do have a bit of a concussion history. I won't say how many, but we'll just go with a few. We can stick with a few.
Okay.
First one was 2016, my sophomore year of college, and it happened during a game. And then second one happened about 2018 during college as well. And then my last one was while I was overseas in 2020. So each of them have had, different healing times and protocol times. The first one was about a week or two to recover. Second one was about 2 to 3 weeks. And then the final one in 2020 was about 6 months. So I have a little bit of experience with concussions, unfortunately, but that's why I'm here with you guys today.
That's true. Well, before Spencer asks his question, I got to ask, I want you to tie it in. Maybe he was going to go there, but we don't think of basketball players as getting concussions. We think of football, we think of rugby, we think of other sports, boxing, but we don't think of basketball. And I know from being your doctor, you get, sometimes it's elbows, something like that, which is something that Spencer will never hear because elbows go right over his head at being 5'3".
Literally.
So, can you explain? I mean, he's more worried about knees, than he is elbows.
Say that.
But can you explain? And then I'm going to let Spencer, because Spencer's a guru when it comes to concussions. But can you explain to the audience why basketball is becoming a hotspot for concussions?
Yeah, I think part of it is, depending on your position and style of play. So for me during college, especially, I was undersized, but I was guarding bigger dudes. So I'm 6'6", guarding guys that are, 6'10", maybe even 7 feet. That's where a lot of my elbows, I was right in line of those elbows. And then part of it, I think, is just, misfortune, bad luck, you wrong place, wrong time. One of my concussions, the one I had in 2020, was literally, a ball just came flying off the rim and hit my teammate's hand, and my teammate's hand swung back and hit me in the head. So it's just one of those things like I'm standing in the wrong place at the wrong time type thing. So it could be a combination of things, definitely.
So with the idea that you've had multiple concussions over a period of time, how were you handled in high school, or college, and in the pros? Was it a lot different?
Yeah, I think there was a big difference. College, I think they did their best, but around 2016, like my first concussion, I could tell there's a big difference between that and 2020, just in terms of the overall protocols. I mean, in college, I was more so told, don't do anything. Like, stay in your room, dark room, don't watch TV. If reading hurts, don't read. Obviously, you can't go to class. So I remember also the difference between my 2016 and 2018 concussions was the 2018 one, they said I could walk. They said that I could walk and do like light activity, and they said that actually helps the process of healing. So I was like, well, that would have been nice to know back in the last one. And then the 2020 one, the final one, that was kind of the most hands-on when I was overseas. I mean, obviously it was a professional team, but the way they handled me out there, running all types of tests, trying all different types of activity, and then also getting down to what the root potentially of my symptoms is and why I'm continuing to experience them. It was a big difference.
Overseas, so that last one was when? What year?
2020.
2020, not too long ago. And the point being is, technology's come a long way because everybody's paying attention to concussion. And interesting, there was a period of time in 2015, 2016 that I felt chiropractors could really do tremendous work with concussion and really kind of weeding out. You go into a neurologist with a headache and they're going to go, you still have to stay in that dark room and do nothing. Whereas some of those headaches could be coming just from the whiplash from the head hit. And nutrition wise was important. Did you see a difference or did anybody address nutrition with you?
Yeah, I think thankfully, yeah. Definitely in college and overseas, they definitely prioritize nutrition. And after my freshman year of college, I was kind of wild and I was eating whatever I wanted. And it was around that time of sophomore year that I learned about nutrition. So thankfully, going into my concussion experience, I already kind of had an idea of the proper nutrition.
Following a concussion or just generally speaking?
Yeah, just generally speaking.
Yeah. Because, for the listeners, one of the most important things after a concussion is either do a 24 to 48 hour fast and then do a very ketogenic diet, because the nervous system, or the nutrition for the brain is formulated in the gut. So quality fats and proteins need to be digested. But you know what? Typically a parent will want to take their kid to grab something to eat. Are you hungry, honey? Yeah. And then they go to McDonald's or Burger King or what have you. And, that's not the way to go. I was actually ridiculed lecturing to doctors about that concept, and now they're doing it. And actually out in UCLA, out by you guys, there's a Dr. Mayumi Prinz. I think I shared that with you, Terry. She has done a lot of research on how important nutrition is for post-concussion. She's doing a lot of work with Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. So keep that in mind. That's no pun intended. Keep it in mind. But
I think a funny thing too is it's funny that you bring that up, because when you experience a concussion, the last thing you want to do is eat well. The last thing you want to do is eat, like a ketogenic diet or fast for the first 48 hours. Like you said, that's one of the most challenging things is you're under stress. You're not in the best mood. You just got injured. You don't know how long you're going to be out. You want to go to McDonald's. You want to, kind of make yourself feel better with certain types of food. So it's even more of a point to focus on your nutrition during that time, because it's so much more difficult, I feel like.
You kind of want to go to your comfort foods and stuff like that instead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good point, Kam. I think the listeners that are a lot of healthcare providers that are listening, that I think that would be really a novel idea to educate their patients on. Because when you're putting quality food in during that critical time, your brain is trying to heal up and it needs quality proteins and quality fats. So, and I get it. You want which is another point. After your last concussion, how did you decide what did you think you were going to do next? What did you have that in question?
Yeah, definitely. So after the last concussion, being that I was overseas, I didn't know how long I was going to be out. I was definitely questioning my future with basketball. So that's kind of what, led me to doing the content and stuff like that, is because I didn't know what my future held at that time. So I was like, I might get sent home, which I ended up getting sent home, but I didn't know, what am I going to do? Am I going to get a job? Am I going to keep playing? So I kind of just, I assume we'll talk about it a little bit more, but I just went to content. I went to, making people laugh. And it's something that I always wanted to do, but I thought that would have been the best time to do it. So thankfully I started then.
So
do you notice anything? Oh, sorry,
No,
Terry. I just wanted to ask one last thing.
Yeah.
Did you notice, or do you notice, or did you notice any challenges with vision, memory, or formulating an opinion or an idea, or even sense of smell or taste, or any changes like that, or coordination?
Yeah, in my last concussion, the one that lasted 6 months, in the early stages, I definitely had trouble formulating ideas. I noticed I've forgotten a lot of words, like simple words, maybe like a transition. I'd be trying to say a sentence. You gotta and I'm like, what's that word? And somebody would say transition or like go or something like that. I'm like, dang. So for a few weeks, maybe even a couple months, I had a little bit of trouble remembering certain words, which was I thought it was kind of funny, but obviously could be a serious thing. So thankfully I was able to laugh it off. It naturally went away for me, but that was one of the things. And then the main other symptom was just headaches. So I went through about 4 to 6 months of experiencing headaches pretty much every day.
Hey, you've always handled a lot of stress, by making jokes or comedy. I think a lot of us will, I know I get very sarcastic when I'm stressed and stuff like that.
No.
So, shush. I'm really stressed right now, asshole. The question I have for you is, as an athlete, you can always find somebody, a doctor, to tell you what you want to hear. And so, how'd you handle the stress of, I want to play again, I want to do this? Because I've seen so many times that, we'll tell an athlete they can't play, and they go to another doctor, and they go, you want to play? Okay. And they ram a note to play. And my favorite is that we had a bike guy, he crashed, got a concussion, and we said, you can't play until you go through these protocols. He went to another doctor who signed him out because all he needed was a doctor's note to get back into school, right? And all the doctor says, just don't fall again. Well, I don't know about you, but he didn't plan on falling the first time. So, how did you handle the stress of being an athlete going, I want to play. This doctor says I can't, but I know I could find somebody who says I can. How did you handle that balance? Because once you're in college, your parents aren't really as involved as they were when you were in high school. So how did you handle that? And as a pro, how did you handle that?
I think honestly, it gets better with time. I've had so many injuries up to this point. I've gotten better at handling them, but in the early stages, you get your first major injury, whatever it might be. It's tough. And I think you have to have certain people that are smart enough to tell you what you need to hear. Like you said, not just what you want to hear. Obviously, you're going to want to play. So you're going to want a doctor that's going to say, oh, yeah, go out there. Just, be careful. But what you need to hear is you probably shouldn't. And you need to, take the time and really heal and do this and that. So having the right people in your corner, whether it is your parents or your coaches or a doctor that, is going to tell you the right things, I think that's important. And then also just internally accepting it. Like, if I want to be healthier long term, it's better for me to wait, or finding ways to kind of cope with it, being around the team, trying to do the minimal activity or whatever you can do, like just finding a way to kind of make it work while you're out. And it's not permanent for most of us, at least. It's not permanent. We're going to be back playing on the court if we manage it as well as we can.
Did you get a feeling for, let's embark on something that you started to mention, or you kind of alluded to. You'll have, and Terry was elaborating on it, you have one doctor that'll say, don't play. You have another doctor say, go play. And then have you been able to experience in your time in college and professional sports, a doctor that you, other than Dr. Terry, because we know he's passionate and very upfront, but someone that would, is invested in getting you busier, getting you active, and giving you structure on how to return to play?
Have I had someone, you're asking, have I had someone like that, throughout my injuries?
Yeah. You can brag about Dr. Terry if you want.
No,
Yeah, I mean,
it's given.
yeah, I'd probably say that's definitely the first person that comes to mind. In terms of like actually having a structure of, you got to do this, and this. Even following my 2020 concussion, I saw Dr. Terry, and he helped me get back, and he gave me a plan. And with concussions, I know that's difficult to do. Like, we're going to do this. You're going to do this for a few weeks, see how you feel. You're going to do this for a few weeks, and we're going to progress you this way. Especially with concussions, I think you don't get that a lot. Like I said before, sometimes it's just don't do anything, see how you feel. So I'd say definitely Dr. Terry for sure. Not to toot his horn, but he's definitely one of those people for sure.
But I bring that up because I think it's important that, again, our listeners and viewers understand that, the days of saying bed rest are over, and the days of saying, oh yeah, go back into it. And to get some clarity on, you have stages that somebody needs to follow. And that's why I asked you. I mean, I already know Dr. Terry does all that, and I probably set you up for that. but the reality is I think that's the way doctors only have now on, with regards to insurance and all that, they can only spend 7 minutes with you based on a national average of time. And that's, how do that's, wow. Especially in a concussion setting,
And I think relationships are really important, whether it's, obviously Kam and I have a relationship, but I think it's more important that the doctor has a relationship and cares about their athlete. It's not just a number to them. It's actually a human being. And yeah, we all want our athletes to play. We all want our athletes to do stuff, but it's still, we got to do it. And we want to be able to hang out with them later on in life. Hey, Kam, you went from playing pro in Europe, and you came home thinking you were done, but you're back playing in the pros again, aren't you? And now you're going up to the NBA. Is that true?
Yes. So thankfully, I've been invited to training camp with the Ontario Clippers, the LA Clippers G League team. So I should be with them this year.
So for us non-basketball people, because I am pure white guy, can't jump. I can't dribble, talk, and all that at the same time. What's the G League versus the NBA?
It's pretty much the minor league affiliate of the NBA. So each NBA team pretty much has a G League affiliate besides two teams. So if you're playing in the G League, you're probably just the minor team of a club, of a NBA club. So that's pretty much how it is. And
do they pull from their teams? Like if the Clippers they have an injury, will they come to their G League team to pull a guy up?
Absolutely.
Got it. And your brother is, we don't want to talk about the younger brother because you're the better one. But your brother started with the G League and now he's on the roster of the NBA team, isn't he?
Absolutely, yeah. He started with the G League and then now he's on the Brooklyn Nets real NBA team. So I'm in his pockets a little bit.
Yeah,
that's nice.
He's played Spencer. That's an East Coast team, so you should be cheering for them. Yeah. Our guy Kam is still on the West Coast. That's why I love him so much, and that's why Kam's on the show and Kessler's not.
See, the timing, West Coast time, and everything just works out better.
No offense, Kessler, if you're listening, but I just love my West Coast boy. Hey, so you've always, let's go back to something I alluded earlier. You've always used humor as a way of combating your stress. And did you ever think, I mean, good Lord, when you were injured, you would get at my table where a lot of guys would be stressed, they'd be crying, they'd be so upset, and you were like cracking jokes, even as a freshman and sophomore. Did you ever think back then that stress reduction would turn into another career for you?
I didn't. At that time, no. I was just goofy, and we had some funny guys on the team, but I just liked to joke around, and I figured like I'm hurt, I have a choice if I can, mope around or if I'm going to be smiling and having a good time with what I got. So, I pretty much saw it that way. Like, I'm going to be hurt. I'm going to be out for a certain amount of time. I don't want to be moping around sad. I'd rather be, still enjoying my time as well as I can. And then, being on that chiropractor table with you made me comfortable in doing that and thinking it's okay. Like, you can have fun and still be recovering and still be, handling business at the same time. So it kind of worked hand in hand.
Now, have you, is that how you've always handled stress? And what's your advice when somebody, you kind of alluded to it again, what's some of your advice to people that have a concussion and they're told they can't be on their phone, they can't do this? So they don't go in this dark hole and just sit there and stare at a wall. What's some advice you have for them?
I think kind of what we talked about is having little goals that you can look forward to. Like how I mentioned that you kind of gave me certain goals, like, okay, in a few weeks we're going to see this, in a few weeks we'll see that. I think looking forward to those little goals is important. So maybe you're doing either no activity or light activity for a certain amount of time. Look forward to, the next progression. And also people. I mean, if you can't look at your phone, maybe reading is not something you can do. There's really not much you can do, but you can talk to people. You can be around somebody. You can hug somebody. You can, have a good conversation. So I think, whenever you can during those times, be around people that you enjoy being around. That helps a ton.
You got some comedy goals?
Ooh, comedy goals. People, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a goal, but something I might do just for the heck of it is just do a stand-up one time, just like an open mic or something. Just one time, see how it goes. I might get booed off the stage. Who cares? We'll just see.
So I'm going to take a step back right now from this mic because you can get some great advice because Dr. Spencer has gone through comedy school and he's actually been on an open mic. So the stage is yours, Kam, to ask him all the questions about what it's like to be a professional comedian.
No. Hold on there.
Hold on there.
Kam.
Dr. Spencer.
I'm not funny. I am not funny. I took a comedy course. It was offered by the Improv Comedy Club. I went to go get tickets to see a show. It was at a very challenging time in my life back in 2008. And I see on the column here, it says comedy classes. And I go, wow, my lectures suck. They're bored. It's full of statistics and, research. I go, how can I liven them up and entertain people? So I signed up. I took 6 weeks of comedy course. And I'll never forget that there was like 20 something of us in the class and the instructor asks, and it was in the Improv, and it was on one of their dark nights, Tuesday when they weren't, hosting anybody. And they go, who here wants to be a professional comedian? Everybody raises their hand. And they go, well, what do you want to be? And I go, I told them my lectures are horrible. They're boring. They put people to sleep. I need to liven them up. So ends up, I did not know that after the 6-week course, you have to do 5 minutes in front of a live audience. Kam, I'm going to tell you right now. I was an adrenaline junkie. I have skydived. I have bungee cord jumped. I've walked on fire. I mean, I could go down the list of crazy ass things that I've done. The scariest thing is you look out in the audience and goes, these son of a bitches want me to make them laugh, and I ain't funny. See, there's 5 minutes of me doing stand-up out there. I'll share it with you guys. It is. It was. Oh, I get goosebumps because it was like death defying.
Hey, Lance, we need to find that clip and we need to put it into this show.
I gotta see that. I gotta see that.
I'll tell you right now. You know, it's funny.
Oh my goodness. Hi, everybody. It's kind of scary up here, actually. Thank goodness that a friend of mine told me, listen, relax. Just practice as if the audience is naked. That's why I've been practicing at the booby trap down the street. Gosh, I love comedy. Actually, sir, I'm kind of comfortable being on the comedy stage. Maybe because I'm a chiropractor, I've been cracking people up for years now.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Is that I became very close with one of the owners of the Improv, and she says, "You were funny here, but I'm going to put you in West Palm Beach where people are really strict. I'm going to put you in Miami." Because I did it in the Hollywood, Fort Lauderdale area. 3 completely different audiences. That was wild. And you hear about that stuff.
Yeah, but the difference is Cam's funny, you're not. So, yeah.
I don't know. I take it back. I don't know about the open mic thing. Ooh. I might have to opt out.
You know what? If you can handle NBA basketball, if you can handle the courts with all the people yelling and booing and all that, you can handle the stage. Yeah,
Cam, you got to try it.
Oh yeah,
you got to try it. And I'll tell you what, man. When you get up there, it's a rush. It is an adrenaline rush, and you'll want to do it again and again. And you'll bomb one day, and you'll want to do it again. You'll come back and be rock star. You got the attitude, man. I'm telling you right now.
Hey, Cam, you've learned something about the business of comedy, and building your TikTok, building your Instagram, building all that kind of stuff. How does that business side compare to your athletic business side, or is it the same? I mean, is one help the other? I mean, does the knowledge that we learned in athletics help in the business of comedy, and do they parlay back and forth?
Yeah, I'd say absolutely. There's so many things that parallel in terms of just work ethic, things like that. Like, for example, with the comedy, the people who work the hardest are probably going to get the most results. Same thing as athletics. People that post once a month, there's always going to be those people that post once a year and think that they should go viral and be the next big thing. And then there's the people that are posting 10 times a day, every day, no matter how they feel. Those people are always going to have more followers and find more success. It's the same thing. And in terms of them working hand in hand, I feel like it's just about building your brand. It's such a big thing now, with NIL and all that type of stuff. Yeah. I mean, social media it's almost too much, where we're seeing too much of players' lives and what they have going on in certain sides of themselves. But I mean, it's just about building a brand, however you see fit. So people find different ways to do that, whether it's modeling, certain brand deals, or through their athletic performance. So I just find that comedy is just one of those ways to build a brand, and then people find out, hey, he plays basketball. He's not bad either. Okay, cool.
I mean, have you found that, has it helped with your basketball career that you have your following kind of thing and people are going, oh, that's Cam, we know who he is. Has that helped at all, or is it just athletes come down to your commodity? You either put the ball in the net or they don't care?
Yeah, I'd say a little bit of both. I think it could probably help get you in the door, maybe get a tryout or something like that, just because of who you are and people see you all the time. But yeah, at the end of the day, you got to be able to play. If I show up to training camp bombing and bricking, you won't see me on the team this year.
Do you pull a lot of your comedy from your real life experiences? Like, a lot of your comedy is coaches, and we're not going to talk about this segment of the chiropractic because we're just not going to talk about that one. but do you pull a lot of your thought processes off of your coaches you've had in your past?
Absolutely, all of it is just stuff that I've seen firsthand, and actually laughed at firsthand. I used to get in trouble. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but I used to get into
dude, you got to go. I want to see. I want to hear
especially
something.
like around the time when I was hurt. I had concussions and other injuries. I'd get in trouble for laughing in the film room. Coaches would say things, and it would be like a serious film session. This was during the times when we had won 6 games, 9 games. We weren't a very good team, and so we'd have serious meetings and film sessions, and I would just be in there laughing at some of the stuff coaches would say. And at a certain point, they had to look at me and be like, "All right, you gotta cut that out." But I would always be cracking up.
Was that because of the concussion? No, I'm joking.
Oh man, it might have been. I got some screws loose.
Yeah. What were some of the things that coaches would say? Because I've seen some crazy things too. But what were your experiences in the basketball world?
Man, one of the funniest things I ever heard was we played a clip. It was like us turning the ball over or something like that. And one of the coaches said, "Man, this looks like we're fat and 40 playing at 24-hour fitness." I lost it.
They get mad at you for that?
I tried to do it. I tried to disguise it as a cough. Every time I would like start chuckling and I'd just act like I was coughing.
Then it became too consistent and they realized.
Yeah, it was too often.
I think you're laughing at me. Right. How about a teammate? Any funny teammate
Oh, man.
experiences? Oh, he's laughing already.
I'm trying to think which one is worth telling.
That's awesome.
Man, when you're a losing team, everything is just amplified. Players getting into, altercations, coaches, what they say to players can be, out of line. It's just, to me, I was on the outside. I was hurt. I wasn't really a part of it. So it was easy for me to laugh. But, man, it's just so much stuff.
I can imagine.
What was it like? Tell Spencer what it was like to play with your brother, because you guys were like a duo that was pretty damn funny.
Man, yeah, we're super close, so it was obviously an unforgettable experience. One thing I didn't like, though, we hated guarding each other. We played pretty much the same position, so every day we would be guarding each other at practice, and it got to a certain point we were sick of it. Because, I want to see him do well. He wants to see me do well. And unfortunately, one of us has to – something's got to give. So other than that, it was a great experience, though. It was so much fun.
That's cool, man. Well, I don't know if you're ready, Cam, but I got the rapid fire questions. 5 of them that if you're ready to answer, if your jaws and vocal cords are warmed up and more importantly, your brain.
I don't know about the brain. Everything else is fine.
It's all right. Are you ready, Camerific? Here we go. Question number 1. Rumor has it that you and my partner over here, Dr. Terry, have a great relationship, and you have a pet name for him. Could you share that?
White chocolate, baby. White chocolate.
This is supposed to be rapid fire, but why does he deserve that name? Because he's very uncool.
The way I see it is, complexion wise, right? That's where the white comes from. But at the same time, throughout my relationship with him, I realized if I brought him to the hood, I'm not from the streets, but if I brought him to the hood, he'd be okay. He'd be good. I'm sure they'd love him there. So that's where we get the chocolate.
Oh my God, that's awesome. It's funny. At Miami Dolphins, they gave me the name Doc Speezy, and I thought, wow, I think that's pretty cool, Doc Speezy. All right, very uncool. Right. Question number 2, Camerific. What is your favorite movie you turn to when you need some inspiration?
Ooh. I'm gonna go with Toy Story. Toy Story.
Never. Why?
I'm a big those old Disney movies. Oh man, those are my favorites. Monsters Inc., Toy Story. Those are probably my 2. But if you want to, obviously they're funny and they're entertaining. But them little toys, they have some heart.
Yes, they do.
You know what I mean? So you could definitely learn some things if you wanted to from those movies.
All right. Cam, Buzz Lightyear. Here we go. Question number 3.
Oof.
What is your favorite basketball drill that every inspiring basketball player needs to do every day?
Favorite basketball drill. Super simple, but it's called the miking. It's basically you just stand under the basket and you just do layups. You shoot a layup, catch it, shoot another layup, and you just do that. We do it like 100 times in a row. You just stand there, super boring, super tedious, but it helps. A lot of players out there are missing layups when it comes to games. They go full speed and they're missing layups, or they can't do a layup with their left hand, and it's a travesty. So you need to do those micings. Simple, one of the simplest basketball drills, but nowadays we're all advanced. You do what you see on Instagram, all the crazy through the leg stuff, and then you can't make a layup. So get under the basket, shoot those layups 100 a day. That's it.
Why do they call it a mic-in?
Something with the dude who invented it. I don't know.
Oh, gosh. All right. Very good. Now, question number 4. All right. What skill did you wish you had perfected more during your tenure between D1 and the pros? Something that you may have blown off that you wish you would have done?
In terms of, we're speaking basketball?
Yes.
I wouldn't say I've blown it off, but I think just with injuries and things like that, I'd probably say conditioning. We underestimate how hard it is to get back in shape, especially game shape at the professional level. So if you're not, eating well and really focusing on it, it's so easy to get out of the loop. You'll be a step behind. So I think that's something always got to make sure I'm prioritizing.
Very good. Question number 5, final question. Best practical joke that you have played on your bro who is in the pros?
Ooh, best practical joke. I cut his hair with scissors.
What the heck? No way you did not.
This was years ago. We were little kids. And I convinced him to let me cut his hair. I'm like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. Like, it's going to look great. And I just chopped up his lineup.
No, you did not.
My mom came home. She was like, what did you do? But I convinced him. He would have swore I was a barber the way I convinced him. Yeah, I got you, bro. I got you. Let me, I got these scissors are going to do well.
Oh my God!
Well,
when was that? Last year?
A little more than that.
Yeah.
Hey, on that note, great job, by the way. A man with concussions, you were firing those pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. But since we brought up your brother Kessler, and he is with the New York Knicks, I know, and you guys are very, very close. But you're still the older brother, so does he call you for advice or discuss plays or situations that he has to deal with?
Yeah, he's very stoic. Like last year for him being a rookie was a really crazy year. If you were following the Brooklyn Nets, they had a bunch of big trades and, Kyrie Irving not playing because of not being vaccinated and a bunch of drama. And throughout all of that, he never seemed stressed or worried about it at all. So for him, when I talk to him, I'll be like, how you doing, this and that? He'll be like, oh, I'm good. Like, everything's fine. Everything's straight. But I do know that he does look for me for more so an example. So he'll look at, like, how I handle things and kind of draw from that. And if he does have questions, he will ask. But he's not usually the type to be outgoing and reach out that way. I feel like he's very mature for his age. Like, a lot of these young NBA players, I feel like, you know how they are. They're divas sometimes and this and that. But, like, he's very stoic. He's very mature. So I know he got that from me. I know he learned that from me.
I'm sure he did. You always, you are, because you're also very stoic, as people are starting to figure out. You're very, you're very calm and don't think of anything in a funny way, or you're not a goofball at all. And the question, another thing for people that need to watch your videos: who does your teeth? Because you have some great teeth in your videos. Is that are those yours that you just kind of you kind of just push out there and who's your dentist, man?
Yeah, I'm long due for a checkup, but but those are the Party City specials, man. $1 get you go to Party City, they got them. Halloween costume idea.
Oh, so funny. Hey, I want to go back to a serious nature for a second, and that is when you were hurt a lot with the concussions. You had a couple other extremity injuries. Everybody wants to be around you when you're successful, when you're the pro, they want to say they hang out with this pro Kam and he's a pro basketball player. But when you're hurt and you're not in that limelight, sometimes those people leave. And being supported when you're down and injured is so important. What have you noticed about your support system in your career choices, and has it changed as you went from basketball to comedy, back to basketball, doing both? Let's talk a little about your support system, because I think that's really important especially when you're injured.
That's so true. I mean, when you're going through those tough times, the injuries and the downfalls and all that, you really find out who's in your circle for real. So going through all the transitions, comedy, am I playing basketball? Am I not? I scored 25 points one night. Next night I'm hurt. So you really find out who's really with you. So during that time of college, I mean, you're with a bunch of people. You got your teammates and friends and frats and girls, everybody around you. But during that time, I realized I have a few childhood best friends that no matter what, I could always call them, and they were always checking up on me. My parents, and then my brothers. So that's about 7 people right there, 7-8 people right there, that I realized no matter what decision I make, no matter if I have $0 in my bank account or $1 million, they're gonna treat me the same. They're always gonna be there for me. And going through those tough times made me realize that. So, I kind of developed the philosophy you got to do what you want to do with your life. You're gonna have downfalls and things like that, but do what you want to do with your life. The people that support you, they're gonna support you anyway. The people that don't, forget them.
Do they teach you? Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to ask if they teach you, what life would be like, as a student athlete, and then, as a pro. Because I know in the NFL they had to start doing that. Really pick your friends wisely. What are you going to do? With your life after you get out. Did they do any of that for you guys?
Yeah, thankfully, I think our coaches did a great job of kind of setting that example. They taught us a lot of lessons. But honestly, when you're in high school, college age, a lot of times it's in through one ear, out the other. It sounds cliche. It's stuff that you've heard before. So sometimes you don't listen. Like coaches saying, stay out of trouble or do this and that. And it's I know, whatever. But then when it comes down to it, you're really in those situations. You realize, oh, wow, coach wasn't lying. This is really important. I remember my first coach at Pepperdine, he used to always talk about the importance of you're always being watched. You're always being evaluated. And so there's been circumstances where, whether I was, at the club or, something, and I'll see somebody maybe at the end of the night, or I'm at a restaurant with my friends goofing off and this and that, and you'll see somebody someone of importance, a GM or a teacher or a coach or somebody that could potentially hire you one day. And they were sitting there the whole time, sitting right next to you. There's been times at, sporting events or things like that, I'm sitting next to a team owner or something like that. So it's you realize those lessons are really true, but you just got to listen. You can't be stubborn and think you know it all.
Mm. You also have to look at your, like you said, your loyalty. I mean, my son went from being a pro bike racer to a photographer, and a lot of people started making fun of him. Oh, you're an artist. You're going this direction. And you're kind of doing the same thing. You're a basketball player, but comedy is an art. It's not simple. And so have you found that some of your people that you thought were your friends were your friends because you were a pro athlete and they wanted to say that, and now if you go to comedy, it's a different genre, or have you found that the reverse? Or what's your advice for that kid who thinks he was a star in high school, who wants to go all the way and drive the Bentley and live in a big mansion? What's your advice for him or her?
It's kind of like we talked about. I mean, you find out who the real people are. I know there's a lot of people who don't support the comedy, and that showed itself very quickly when I started posting videos. I saw who was liking them, who was watching them, who was supporting, and who wasn't, very, very quickly. But I feel like it's just kind of like I said, you have certain people that are going to support you. You ride with them, and then along the way, as I'm making videos and building a following base, I gain more supporters, and obviously those are people who I appreciate. And everybody else, you got to just forget about. Work hard, take care of your business, do what you got to do. But at the end of the day, it might only be 3 people that are supporting you. You just got to be okay with that and just keep it pushing.
Is it kind of, you're learning at the end of the day, you have to love yourself and respect yourself and put your belief in yourself. And if nobody else sees that, well, that's their problem. But so many people put their happiness on other things and people and all that. But if then you're always going to be disappointed. If you put your happiness in yourself, then you're never going to be disappointed, because it doesn't really matter what people think. Is that kind of a thought process you have now?
Absolutely. And even with social media and posting all the time, you kind of get your self-worth from that sometimes. How many views did I get? How many likes did I get? Who commented? And so it's always important. Like for me, I always have to take a step back and be like, at the end of the day, I'm doing what I love. Like, I love what I do. I'm happy with myself. So any type of gratification that I get on the outside is just icing on the cake. But I can't let that be what drives me.
So you found a new frontier for yourself, a new world, and I'm excited for you because, as much as being an athlete and basketball is your opportunity to exhibit your physical abilities, now you're going to exhibit something that's in your DNA, man, something that you've discovered, and I'm excited for you about that. If you were to leave a legacy behind or something that you want to be known for, and, whether it's, the sky's the limit. What is it that you would want to leave behind, and what advice do you have for athletes going through transitions like this?
I think just character is the most important thing I would want to leave behind. Accolades and all that type of stuff is really cool. But one of the most valuable things I've ever been told by a coach was that I was a pleasure to coach. More than anything, I could have not played a minute, not scored a point, but him telling me that was that was everything. And so I know how important that is. I think that's the most important thing to me, is how people think of you, more than just your talents, more than just how much money you have or what you accomplish. How did people feel when you were around? I think that's super important. And thankfully I have a lot of people like that who I really like being around and make me really happy, like Dr. Terry and Dr. Spencer.
What is it in your character, though, that was so appealing to the coach to say that to you? What do you feel it was?
I guess, this would be advice for players for sure, is there's a few rules. Number one, no matter what a coach tells you, you always look him in the eye. You always say, yes, coach. That got me so far. That'll have you get playing time over players that are better than you. If you just look the coach in the eyes, no matter what he's telling you, he could be cussing you out. Look him in the eyes, say, yes, coach, and then do what he told you. If he tells you, put your hand up, do this, the very next time you go up, do it and show him that you're doing it. That goes so far. So I'd say that was, I assume were a couple of the reasons why, but.
That is fantastic.
So, you said 3 things. Is there more stuff? Because that was fantastic.
Those are the 2 main things that I could think of that I really prioritize. And from the first day of training camp, that should be your priority, because mean, the coaches are they're gonna help you play. They're gonna be the ones that determine what you do on the court. So if you're not showing them respect, then they're not gonna trust you.
It's fascinating because I've always said, you could have all the talent in the world, but everybody needs a coach. And what's ironic about the whole thing is, I'd say 90 or 95% of the coaches, they didn't excel in that sport when they weren't a superstar athlete, but yet they could make you one. They could help facilitate your greatness. And having that attitude, Cam, was also part of, my son, he told me even when he was playing football that his coach, they would often say, I would rather have somebody that has heart than talent, than just pure talent. Because usually the guys with just pure talent are lazy, or they won't, they just think they'll ride on that pure talent, but they're not as a good example of hard work and effort, So I think that, that's something that's a good takeaway. So
I will say it's funny sometimes, what you said about players and listening and things like that. I know you guys don't have this problem, but like sometimes if you have like a fat trainer or like somebody who obviously, they didn't excel in the sport, but they know it. Sometimes as an athlete, it's still hard to trust them. But I feel like it's a pride thing. It's like, oh, I'm better than you. I'm better than you ever were. You're just, you didn't even play. You went to D3 or whatever. I know you guys don't experience that, but sometimes it is like that. But it's like you got to put that aside. Like, come on. At the end of the day, they're here for a reason, and they're here to help you. So come on.
Although we often we talk about in the healthcare world is, do you really want to be told to run and exercise or eat right by a fat cardiologist? Or a cigarette smoking cardiologist? Yeah, you need to exercise more and eat right, or you're gonna die. Well, hello, So
and that's why I got so much respect for you guys, because you guys are living it. Like, you guys are trying to help other people, but living it at the same time. So I respect you guys a lot, because that's important.
Well, just wait till I've been practicing my basketball. You want to talk about respect?
Oh, we're gonna see white chocolate for real. Oh man.
If we play the Sun, I'm gonna be that little melted chocolate spot in the corner.
and Doc Steezy's gonna be chewing on your kneecap.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's about how.
Buddy, we got to wrap this up so I can get to our alma mater and take care of some athletes. But I do want to have you have the floor now. Tell people that are listening how they can find you, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, how to follow you, your basketball career. You have the floor. I want people to be able to follow you from the career and to watch you blossom. So you have the floor. Tell us how to find you.
For sure. TikTok and Instagram is at Kam Edwards _ at KAM Edwards _ That's where you'll find all the goofiness, all the content. And then hopefully I'll be playing with the Ontario Clippers this year. We play in Ontario, California, Toyota Arena. Let me know if you want to come to a game. Come through. I'll get tickets and all that. So that's where you can find me.
That's awesome, brother. You know what? I've wanted to get you on the show since we started, and I'm so grateful that you finally said yes. You make me laugh, and you've always been a light in the training room. They still talk about you. I'm going to tell you that today. When I told them you were on our podcast, Justin and a bunch of the guys are all excited to listen. So you're still well thought of at the school. You're still loved. You're still respected, and you've always put a smile on my face, and it's an honor to call you my friend. So thank you, buddy, and I continue success in everything you do, man.
Wow, thank you guys so much, man. I had a great time.
Thanks, Cam. Same here.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Kraken Backs podcast. We hope you enjoyed, and make sure you follow our Instagram at Kraken Backs Podcast. Catch new episodes every Monday. See you next time.